Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mariane Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mariane Pinkston.
Hello, everybody. This is The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. I am Dr. Mariane Pinkston, a family practitioner and integrative medicine doctor in San Antonio. And I get the significant pleasure of bringing my trainer in today to discuss what I think everybody has trouble with when they're talking about losing weight and whatnot. This is Sonya Roemisch, who is with Younique Physique in San Antonio, Texas. And I've been with you, I think, almost 3 years maybe now.
Yeah.
And long, good relationship that we've had. She puts up with me. And as I think most people know, I had lost 162 pounds, and Sonya was a huge part of that and a huge part of getting me on track with diet and getting my, muscle mass built up and my exercise plans and everything. So when we're together, we often talk a lot about people and diets and the frustrations that we have in talking, because I do a lot of weight loss, you do a lot of weight loss, and so welcome on. I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Finally.
Thank you for having me. I know, right?
Sure.
It's been a while.
I know. You would think that after a year, I would have had you on at least 3 or 4 different times, but yeah, we finally made it. So tell me what your biggest frustration is when you are talking, because people come to you, I want to look just like you, I want to lose weight. What is your biggest frustration and obstacle with people?
Well, the biggest frustration for me is obviously putting a plan together and just people not being able to follow it.
Right.
I mean, it takes a lot of time for me to actually come up with something like breakdown and, like macros and calories and stuff like that. And so when you do it and then they don't follow it and then they wonder why they're not getting results, it's,
Exactly.
kind of annoying.
I think when people are looking for results, I think we are, and I'll say we because I was part of that crowd too. I had to figure things out. And I think most of the time people have to figure things out. And you have to kind of meet people where they are on their level of their journey. But I think most of the time we're looking for a quick fix.
Right.
It's instant gratification. And when it comes to weight loss, the biggest thing, it took me 13 years to learn, but there is no instant gratification, right? So.
And there's a learning curve. And I think too, people don't understand that. Again, they want the instant gratification. They want the results now, but you really have to make it a lifestyle change in order for it to stick. And, that's the whole, most important thing about this is just you have to make it a lifestyle change or it's just not going to stick.
Right. So I tell people, a lot of times people will tell me, I just don't want to give up, eating out and good food and things like that. And I'm like, well, you then are not ready. You're not ready to give, especially when you have significant weight.
Right. But on the flip side, I mean, I do meal prep now, but I did go quite a few years where I literally was eating out all the time. Mm-hmm. But if you know how to do it, it's making those choices and just asking, hey, leave off the butter on, this steak or, leave off the butter off of this potato and, put the dressing on the side. And there's just things that you can do that you don't realize that will save like so many calories,
sure.
Overall. And then, the other thing is, people don't understand protein is more important than what they think.
Right.
And so, just trying to skimp on that in itself and then go for the carbs, then, that'll get you in trouble when you're trying to eat out.
I think the number one thing when I ask patients and they're going on a diet, I think the number one thing that they go for is ultimately the keto diet. Mm-hmm. And so what that means to every person is different. So when you say keto, what do you actually mean? But what do you see? You mentioned that protein is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. So break that down and explain what you mean by that.
Well, when you're talking with like people that do true keto, actually the protein is really low.
Right.
So your protein is really low and your carbs are really low, but your fat is really high. So a lot of times, you're going to end up breaking down muscle because you are not eating enough protein, to sustain. So yes, you may eventually lose weight and lose it fairly quickly. One, because you're dehydrating, you're basically pulling the carbohydrates, you're burning the glycogen, right? So you're pulling all that out, and you're going to lose a lot of water weight because your muscles hold carbohydrates, right? So you deplete that, you're going to lose that water weight, and then over time, then you're going to end up, burning through muscle because you're not eating enough protein, and then it's not sustainable. I mean, that's the whole thing is I know so many, I see Facebook people that are doing the keto, and it's like they go all in for a little while, but they can't really sustain it for a long period of time. And then you go put the carbs in, and then, the alcohol, a whole nother story. And then they blow back up.
Right.
And then, here they go again. Let's just go right back to keto because we know we're going to lose it fast. But it's not really losing
Not losing the right part
weight,
of it, right?
Not
it's not
the right way.
Not the right way. So, and I think people, when they define keto different ways, they really do, think of keto as a higher protein sometimes and way low carb. But people become carb sensitive if they drop their carbs down too much.
Right.
So so you can't. That's something that you can't drop too far. But in that, the temporary fixes. So if people, again, we go back to instant gratification. If people are doing this, it's a temporary fix. What people don't realize is your body is always in survival mode. So I know we don't have a lot to survive from these days. We're not being chased by, the bear and, having to survive for long stretches of famine, things like that. But the body still lives on that primitive basis. So if your body is thinking that it's starving for some reason, it's not getting enough of the nutrients, not getting enough of the calories, not getting enough of the protein, it'll go into that mode and it'll spare the fat. It'll hang on to that, and it won't, it'll burn muscle first before it'll burn fat. Right. So when you drop that weight really quickly, you're dropping off your muscle mass. People don't realize that muscle is what burns fat over time, ultimately. So what about people who say, I'll just start working out after I lose some weight? What is the problem there?
So, again, the problem there is that you're going to be trying to diet, and you're going to end up burning muscle, right? And then you're going to end up with extra skin. You're not going to lose the body fat like you should. And then you're going to lower your basal metabolic rate because now your lean muscle mass is
going,
lower. So so it's
going to be harder to lose weight.
So if you work out and you build a little bit of lean weight, I'm not talking like, bodybuilder style necessarily, but if you build a little bit of lean weight, you're coming up, you're bringing that basal metabolic rate up. So, you should be able to eat and still get lean and do it all in one nice balanced package so that you will look good as you're losing weight as well. And you just have less, less loose skin.
Sure.
You've got less, you start toning up and changing your shape so much quicker than when you're just doing cardio by itself.
Right, exactly. And you look great. I love it. That's one of my favorite things about this weight loss process is the changes that I've made in the shape and tone of my body. I feel fit. I look fit. And that was mistakes that I had made in the past. I could drop a lot of weight, but I would turn around and put it all back on. I had nothing underneath to support it, nothing underneath to burn the fat, nothing underneath to support the skin. It would be a disaster each time. You lose 20, you gain 30. You lose 40, you gain 50. That yo-yoing back and forth. When you add something, and most people I think want to do cardio. They'll go, well, I go out and I walk 6 miles, 6 times a week or even 3 times a week. What is the fallacy in that?
Well, actually, the walking is actually a better fat burner because you're lowered the heart rate. You're burning more fat. So the higher your heart rate, you're burning more carbohydrate, right? So say you are on a keto diet and you're doing that and you have no carbohydrate fat stores to burn, right?
Right.
So then you're going to end up burning through muscle doing cardio even more because you don't have those glycogen stores. So it's going to tap into the muscle whenever you're doing that long term, and your body gets used to it. So you constantly really need to be like doing a little more, in time, or a little higher intensity or something to just keep your body progressing as well.
Right. And I know we do a lot of, resistance training, weight training. And so what is the benefit in adding that with your cardio? And most people just do cardio.
Right.
So what is the benefit of having the weight training on top of
So
that?
if you have a nice, well-rounded program where you're doing, your weight training and you're working on building a little bit of muscle, that, helps obviously change your shape, sculpt you, right? And then you're doing the cardio and you're doing it properly, it will help burn the fat quicker.
Right.
You'll end up losing weight quicker as well.
Great.
And so, that, with the cardio, with the weight training and your nutrition, then that makes a nice, well-rounded program. Also sleep.
Yes.
Also working on your head game.
So
there's some other components in there.
Absolutely.
Your health. They're just factors that sometimes people don't lose weight and they are doing, better than what they were, but they've got other health issues going on that slows down the process.
Right.
So they got to get those under control.
Right. I think the head game is the largest part. So tell us what you mean by head game.
Well, the thing is that if your head isn't right and you've got a lot of emotional, baggage and things going on and you're sabotaging yourself, I see people do that all the time where, they do good and then they can't sustain it because they have a lot of things going on, at home in their personal lives and things that they're not dealing with. And their cortisol levels, if they're really stressed, maybe jacked, and then that's going to affect your ability to lose weight as well.
Absolutely. Well, it affects your sleep greatly. Stress really affects sleep more than anything. And I remember back, I think when COVID first happened, 2020 in March, we had to go to a system of working, and I was at home. You did a FaceTime with me. I had enough things at home to work with.
Right.
And for some reason, had started working on my sleep a lot better, slept really well. I made more gains on my figure and weight loss and all during that time because of sleep. And that really showed me, even as a physician, I know these things, but that really showed me what a difference that makes. And I think that the stress is tremendous. And self-sabotage, though, you mentioned that. I think that is a huge point of contention for people, self-sabotage. They'll do really well. They don't see results as quickly as they would like, so they tend to give up. So when we're going to take a break here in a few minutes, and when we come back, I want to talk about self-sabotage a little bit, because I think that is probably one of the biggest factors that we have. I do need to say a few things. I've got a few sponsors, so I'm going to give them a little love this morning because they have been so good to me. And actually, recently I went over to Pinnacle Clinical Research for a test called a FibroScan. It was free. I spent 15 minutes with a fantastic physician that understands liver disease. I have autoimmune hepatitis. I needed a screen. So I went and had my 7 minute, I swear it wasn't even 7 minutes. It was probably more like 3 or closer to 4 minutes. And got a lot of great information about my disease and a lot of help. And so I want you to know these people are out there. 1 in 3 people have fatty liver disease in South Texas, and they don't know it. And you can have a normal ultrasound, you can have a normal liver function test with your blood, and you can still have liver disease. So I want you guys to reach out to Pinnacle Clinical Research. You can go to pinnacleresearch.com, or you can call in San Antonio, 210-529-7978. You can also call Austin, which I have reached there, is 512-601-5788. And as for finding information on Sonya, you can go to her website, and I'm going to let you tell your website. I don't visit it often, but I don't have to. I see you every day.
It's youniquephysique.com, but it's spelled YOUNIQUE.
Right. So, and I will have that on my website as well. So if you go to drpbetterlife.com, I have all of her information, plus all of my sponsor information on where to find us. And we are on San Antonio Sonya Radio every Sunday at 4, but we are also on the on YouTube and iTunes and all of the platforms, iHeart Radio and Spotify, everything you can find. So drpbetterlife.com. You can also find information on my clinic and how to find me. So we are going to take a break and come back in a few minutes, and we will talk more about the head game of weight loss, which is always the most important thing, I think, on people's minds these days. We'll be right back.
Fatty liver is linked to two different situations, alcohol and diabetes or obesity. In both cases, patients can have no symptoms. In the United States, and in particular, Texas, the most common cause of liver disease in general is non-alcoholic fatty liver. Again, associated with overweight, obesity, and/or diabetes. Additional risk factors include high cholesterol, high blood pressure, Hispanic ethnicity, and postmenopausal status. At Pinnacle Clinical Research, we offer a quick, non-invasive ultrasound-based screening assessment called FibroScan. This test is done at no cost to you, and we do not take insurance. The test will measure the fat and stiffness in your liver and stage your risk and development of fatty liver disease. You will meet with a provider immediately following your scan to go over your results. If you're interested in getting more information on your liver health, please call 210-982-0320 and schedule your FibroScan today. We are conveniently located in the Medical Center at 5109 Medical Drive.
Hey, welcome back. I'm Dr. Mariane Pinkston. I am here with my trainer, Sonya Roemisch, who keeps me working and going and keeping me losing weight since I lost so much weight in the past 3 years or so. She has been the person behind the doctor here. So we were talking before the break about the head game of weight loss, and I want to spend some time on self-sabotage because this is what I see in clinic very often. I know you do too. So self-sabotage in my mind is where people will start a program, they're gung-ho, I'm going to get this done, they'll get started, and they're not seeing results. And maybe I'll ask a patient, they'll say, well, I'm just not seeing results. I'll be, well, how long have you been working? 3 weeks, and they'll stop at that point because they're not getting instant results. And just when their body is making that turnaround, just when I think they would start to see results. Why do you think people do that?
Well, I mean, they're impatient, for one. They feel like they are just going to fail again. And I know I have a client that I have been working with, and she had done multiple programs and spent a lot of money and pretty much quit everyone. Even so, wanting to back out of the program that she had with me. And then you start going and you start digging deeper. And I think she even mentioned that her husband or fiance or whatever laughed at her because she spent money on another program.
Right.
So, one thing is not having a good support system to support and encourage you, but also if your self-confidence and you're not in check, you're not balanced, and you're not healthy internally, unfortunately life throws a lot of things at us.
Absolutely.
I've had a lot of things happen myself, and if we don't deal with the things that we're experiencing and have experienced, then it does lead to emotional eating.
Yes.
It leads to self-sabotage where, you give up because the person in the mirror, it doesn't matter, even you may have lost, but you can look in the mirror, and if you're not happy with where you are, you're just going to keep beating yourself up and, attacking yourself. And, I sometimes, catch myself here or there, falling kind of back into those same patterns too. If I gain a pound or two, and then, in fact, I've gone years without stepping on the scale because I hate it.
Right.
So you see the scale, you step on it every day, and it doesn't move, or it keeps going up. And then you're just stressing about it. And, I know my husband told me he was going to throw away my scale the other day because I was so annoyed. I was like, I went all these years without stepping on the scale.
Right.
Because way back when I used to step on the scale, what happened? Right. I mean, the same thing. And then you start thinking about it, and it just, I realized, like, this is ridiculous.
Right.
I know what to do. Right. But when you step on that scale, and I mean, it messes with so many people's heads. I mean, I know because I have clients that, I do measurements and things like that, and they don't want to see, what their weight is. It's like a scary thing, to step on, even though they might be, their clothes fit better, they feel better, whatnot. But again, there's that head game thing. But obviously, you're going to lose if you're doing everything right. So when they're not doing, what they need to do in nutrition-wise, that is going to be your biggest factor, and you really see in the results.
Absolutely.
So
it is, and I'll give kind of an example for me, and I explain this to my patients. It's more about body compositioning and what's going on the inside that you really can't see, and the scale does not always reflect that.
Right.
So back when I was sleeping well, and I told you I was in my best shape, I was at about 152, I think. I was about 18% body fat. Whenever then I spin around, kind of laid off a little bit, relax my eating a bit, I turn around, I'm 148, but I'm 23% body fat. So that just lets you know, really, it's not about the scale. I was in better shape when I weighed higher.
Right.
And that is, very, very important. But people, I think, just give up too soon. They expect too much, give up too soon.
That's true.
It's a process. It what a friend of mine told me that, Marianne, it's going to take you not 6 months to achieve this. It's going to take you a year or more, even 2 years. But that time is going to pass anyway. So just relax. Get your head work done. Work on not giving up too soon, and just sustain.
Right.
Just stay consistent and just sustain.
And so make it a lifestyle.
Make it a lifestyle.
Because I've pretty much been able to maintain within 5 pounds of my weight for practically the last 20 years.
And you have a great story of your weight loss story is amazing. So I think people need to take a look at that and read, because you are not instant beautiful your whole life. You had some work to do, your head and everything else, like everybody does.
Right.
And once you got it, you got it. Same with me. Once I got it, finally, it took me 13 years to get there. Once I got it, then if we finally got the results.
Once you work hard enough and stay and push and be consistent long enough, the thing is that you can have a little something here or there, have relax a little bit. But if you always live that lifestyle, you can just make those little fine-tuned tweaks to get back to where you were. But if you go off of it too far, then it's back. That work to get back there is
you just
treacherous.
Start over over again.
So it's like just
hard.
Learn to make it a lifestyle change, and it just, the process will happen in itself, and find a good coach that can coach you through it.
Accountability, that works every time, let me tell you, and there's my accountability factor right there. So I also want to say something about Restore today. We had Tina Peterson on recently talking about CBD. She's a CBD coach, and a wonderful one at that. So I want to make sure that everybody is able to go to their website, takerestore.com, and Tina has been very gracious to give 10% off to everybody that goes to the site and enters the number 4 PINK, 4 pink, and you get 10% off of your products. And that, I tell you, has been wonderful for working with me and my rheumatoid arthritis and some other issues that people have with anxiety and sleep. So please, takerestore.com. And you can find everything about Sonya on my website at drpbetterlife.com. And take a look and phone numbers, and I'll put up some of her story and her old befores and afters if she'll let me. And we'll have all of her information on the website. But thank you guys for joining us today, and thank you, Sonya, very much.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you in all your years that you've given to me. Thank you guys. Have a great week.